Brooklyn Independent Television.
Walking around Brooklyn with a camera and a pen. That's how Nick Juravich describes his I Love Franklin Ave blog. The blog highlights Crown Heights, one of New York City's most historic communities, a community that was also the site of one of New York's first black settlements.
My name is Nick Juravich. I'm the writer for I Love Franklin Avenue, and I've had the blog for a little over 2 years now. It started when I moved to Crown Heights in August of 2008, and the initial idea was just to get to know the neighborhood, get to know my neighbors, get to know the businesses and the history of the neighborhood by walking around, taking photos, and talking to people. So we are on the corner of Dean and Franklin. This is my corner, and behind me you see what used to be a brewery. It was a brewery for a very long time, founded in 1842. You see those houses over there, those were the initial buildings. And it was built into a huge complex. This whole area was sort of light industrial to my left here until about World War II, just after World War II. And the brewery closed because of Prohibition, as did many of Brooklyn's breweries. And it's since been turned into workspaces for artists, for various creative class folks, and some rentals. And it's going to be soon redeveloped into a larger project. Looks like they're locked up. So this right here just literally went by this 20 minutes ago, and it's going to be a new, yet another restaurant on the avenue. It's going to be a pizza place. You come out, you just take a picture, this is cool, this is interesting, and then you try to find out as much as you can. It'll be the 29th or 30th new business in the last 2.5 years to open on Franklin. Pawn shops are the sort of the lender of last resort, and as a result what they do is, you know, they trap people, and this is how they make their money, and it's a really unfortunate thing for communities that pawn shops open anywhere. And so when this one opened, the Crow Hill Community Association, who are a wonderful neighborhood organization, they've been active now for over 25 years, got together and opposed it. This block's actually just been declared an historic district, and Franklin Avenue is not zoned for pawn shops. They had a huge protest right here where we were standing, made a lot of noise, spoke about the kinds of things we need to address, the larger issues in the neighborhood, jobs, credit, but also the fact that this pawn shop was going to be a real problem, and it closed. And then it reopened as Crow Hill Jewelry, buying jewelry and electronics, because apparently if you buy jewelry and electronics but you don't have pawn in your title, you can skirt the New York City zoning law. So now it's here, there's not a lot we can do about it. It's unfortunate, but I think the positive thing that came out of it was a lot of community organization, a lot of attention to these larger issues around jobs and credit, and a chance for the Crow Hill Community Association to introduce itself to a new generation of folks who are moving into the neighborhood. And I should say the name Crow Hill, this is a great piece of local history, comes from the fact that this area was a settlement of free blacks before the Civil War, one of the first in New York City. And so another bit of heritage here. This neighborhood has long been a place that sort of celebrated that through the name Crow Hill. That's why the organization's called that. This is Lily and Fig. This is one of my favorite coffee shops, of which there are a few now on the avenue. And it's kind of a gathering place too for a lot of folks in the community. So I've met a lot of really interesting people here. Franklin Avenue Merchants getting underway, I guess on the 12th. Then you ask people too. So I'll walk up and down and, you know, people who've been here 10, 20, 30 years in the business community or, you know, who just live on the avenue, I'll say, hey, what do you know about that? And, oh, you know, my friend used to work there when it was a mattress warehouse. Before that, it was a brewery. And you kind of glom it all together and you sort of see what comes out. Crown Heights, like much of the rest of Brooklyn, is a neighborhood of immigrants, many different successive waves. It was, in the 1960s and 70s, the largest Panamanian community in the country. And over my shoulder is Kelso, which is the one remaining Panamanian restaurant on Franklin, and sort of a center for Panamanian life, which is still very important in the neighborhood. Every year they do the Panama Day Parade, which comes down Franklin, right down here. And they you know, maintain a vibrant presence in terms of a few businesses, but also a lot of people who live in the area. This place, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking, but this place here is a special place in my heart because it had its grand opening the day I moved out here. It's a pizza place called the Slice of Brooklyn. While you have residential rent control, you don't have commercial rent control. And so even if people are, you know, able to stay in their apartments, and some people are forced out, but even if people stay in their apartments, communities that are centered around, you know, restaurants, around old businesses, if those are displaced, the communities dissipate, and that's unfortunate. One of the things I try to do with the blog, and it's hard to say whether or not this happens, you know, is to at least generate some dialogue about this, so that people have a sense of ownership, so that when businesses come in, that there's a sort of thoughtful process about whether or not this is something we want in the community. If it's a business that's coming in, is this a place that can have some kind of positive impact, whether that's hiring local people, whether that's having discounts, having deals, being an affordable restaurant, whatever it is. Hopefully these kinds of issues then at least are sort of in people's minds. I think that's about the extent of what you can do with a blog, right? But hopefully.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at breakartsmedia.org/BIT.